Whether you work on a construction site, in a warehouse, or at an event arena, one of the most common types of equipment you'll see is the scissor lift. Scissor lifts are mobile work platforms that are used to safely move workers vertically, as well as to different locations around the work zone. They're unlike other aerial lifts because the lifting mechanism is different. It moves the work platform straight up and down using crossed beams that move in a scissor-like motion. Actually, scissor lifts are considered to be a type of scaffolding, and the hazards they present when extended and stationary are much the same as scaffolds. However, using scissor lifts safely depends on several factors, including knowledge of the equipment's capabilities and limitations, and training for safe work practices when working on and around the lifts. OSHA investigations have shown that the majority of injuries and fatalities involving scissor lifts are the result of the employee's failure to implement appropriate controls and failure to provide the training to address three very important issues: stabilization, positioning, and fall protection. First, the lifts must be maintained on a regular basis to ensure that they are safe to use. The manufacturer's instructions on maintenance and inspection should cover how to test and inspect the controls and components before each use. The guardrails must also be inspected to ensure that they're in good working condition. The brakes must be tested to confirm that once set, they'll hold the lift in position. Maintaining stabilization is crucial to safe scissor lift operation. There are some safe work practices that need to be implemented in order to ensure that the lift is stable and won't tip over or collapse. First, the manufacturer's instructions for safe movement almost always prohibit movement if the lift is in an elevated position. Next, secure the work zone by implementing traffic control measures to ensure that other equipment does not create a hazard or strike the lift while moving around. It's important to designate workspaces that have firm, level surfaces and no hazards that can cause instability, such as drop-offs, holes, slopes, bumps, or debris. Whenever possible, schedule outdoor scissor lifts operations when the weather conditions are favorable. There are scissor lifts rated for outdoor weather that are generally limited to wind speed below 28 miles per hour. While a collapse is much less common than tip-over accidents, collapse can be prevented by following a few rules. Always inspect and make sure that the safety systems designed to avoid collapse are maintained and operational. Always make note of the manufacturer's load rating and never allow the weight on the platform to exceed the limit. Always operate the lift as instructed and never substitute other equipment to lift the platform. Positioning the scissor lift is key to avoiding both crushing and electrocution hazards. There are crushing hazards in every workplace that use scissor lifts, and even personnel working nearby can be in danger. All employees need to be trained and stay alert and aware when working around lifts, especially when a scissor lift is passing by a fixed object, passing another moving vehicle, or passing under a fixed object such as a door frame or support beam. The other very serious workplace hazard involves electrocution. Positioning the lift to avoid tangling with energized power lines and cables will avoid electrocution, arc flash, and thermal burns. There are several controls that need to be implemented in order to avoid these very dangerous hazards. Traffic control measures that prevent other workers or vehicles from getting too close. Employ ground guides when operating or moving the lift around the workspace. Select work locations that are a safe distance from electrical power sources like power lines or transformers, and also a safe distance from other overhead hazards like branches, overhangs, or other utility equipment. If the job requires work near an energized electrical source, make sure the personnel are qualified and have received the required electrical safety training. Only trained personnel should be authorized to operate scissor lifts, and it's your employer's job to make sure that this training is completed before work begins. You'll need to be familiar with the manufacturer's instructions regarding operation of the scissor lift vertically and while in transit. You'll also need to learn how to handle materials on the lift, including weight limits. Awareness training must include discussion of any hazard you'll encounter while working on the scissor lift, such as contact with electrical wires or ground obstructions. You'll definitely need training on fall protection, including how to use and take care of the personal protective equipment that's been provided for you. OSHA regulations require guardrails to be installed on scissor lifts to prevent workers from falling. Always check to make sure that a guardrail system is in place and functioning properly before working on the scissor lift. Never, under any circumstances, should you stand on the guardrails. Stand only on the work platform for safety. Before beginning, position yourself within easy reach of your work. Never lean away from the scissor lift, no matter the circumstance. Of course, as with any equipment, you must report any defects or maintenance needs that you discover while inspecting or working on the lift. No matter how many safety controls your employer has in place, no matter how much training you receive, safety is always a shared effort and responsibility. And staying alert, aware, and mindful of your contribution to a safe workplace is your best defense against accidents and helps to ensure a safe and productive workday.